Welcome to Bigfoot and the Bunny. Sorry about our slightly delayed intro. We are back. We've got a lot of new gear, and we were just talking with our guest, and unfortunately we had to tweak a few things and get it to sound good for you guys. So without a lot of ado, there's some things we want to get into tonight. We've got a wonderful guest. His name is L.A. Marzulli. And we also have some of our own data we want to bring on and talk about. And Spirit Box clips, we got an EVP. And also got a special surprise guest a little later into the show. But without further ado, let me tell you about L.A. and bring him on. He is L.A. Marzulli. He's an author, lecturer, and filmmaker. He has penned 8 books, including the Nephilim trilogy, which made the CBA bestsellers list. He received an honorary doctorate for his series from his mentor, Dr. I.D.E. Thomas, who is the provost at Pacific International University. His book, On the Trail of the Nephilim, Definitive Proof of Biblical Giants, is a full-color, oversized book which uncovers startling evidence that there has been a massive cover-up of what he believes are the remains of the Nephilim, the giants mentioned in the Bible. So without further ado, let's bring on L.A.
Hey, guys. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Right on.
Thanks.
Thank you, my friend, and thank you for your patience there at the front. A little scary few minutes. Did anything change on that?
Okay. It says we're live.
Okay, great. All right, just checking because, my God, we got a lot of moving gears going on. So we were pretty excited about this book of yours, On the Trail of the Nephilim, and we wanted to talk about the mounds. Who were the mound makers?
Well, that's the $64,000 question. It depends on who you talk to. If you talk to a mainstream archaeologist living in the United States of America, they'll tell you the Hopewell built them, but Hopewell was a farmer, the name of a farmer. They don't even know, and I'm not making this up, they don't even know what these entities called themselves. So the artifacts were named after the farmer who first discovered the artifacts, Mr. Hopewell. So they named this entire culture the Hopewell Indians. But here's the deal: the American First Nation, Native Americans, said that when the white man first came into these parts in Ohio, where the Great Circle Mound, the Octagon Mound, and other mounds, and they asked the Native Americans, First Nation people, well, who built this? And the Native Americans said, we don't know. It was here when we got here.
So that's thousands.
It's just unbelievable. But the archaeologists, well, they're absolutely. And the way this works is this. There was all this push and pull in the 19th century. Some people thought it was the lost tribes of Israel, a lost race of people from the old world. I mean, there's all this speculation because they found artifacts, Paleo-Hebrew, which of course, those are forgeries. So they find the forgeries before they can decipher what Paleo-Hebrew is. Go figure. But when you talk to a mainstream archaeologist, they have the party line, and they're gonna lockstep in that. There is no supernatural. They're all a bunch of Darwinists, and that's fine. Believe what you want to believe, but
right.
Don't try to cram it down my throat that this is the truth when we all know that it's not. Hopewell was a farmer. So, in our very first film, The Mysterious Mound Builders, we show how problematic this is. We take you to a place called Fort Ancient. All right. Fort Ancient's in Ohio. It's got 3.5 miles of continuous earthen walls. Some of these walls originally 30 feet, all right? There were 66 gates. Of course, the archaeologists, there's 67. They don't like that number 66. Gee, I wonder why. The whole thing is aligned. When we were there on the spring equinox, we had our little star thing on our iPhone, and guess what was popping up right over the gate? The Hydra, the serpent. It's always about the serpent all the time, everywhere you go. So we show this guy, and he's a docent that's there, and he's lecturing to us. It's a little YouTube video, so you're able to just bag it and use it in the film. It had 3 views or something, right? And like a school outing or something. And Docent Jack is telling us, if you deconstruct all 3.5 miles of earthen walls, what does that look like? And then he goes, and if we took all this earth and we put it in dump trucks and we parked the dump trucks end to end, what are we looking at? And the punchline is it's 200 miles of dump trucks end to end.
Oh,
according to, yeah. according to Docent Jack. So that immediately begs the question, because these same guys will tell you that Native Americans did this with digging sticks, clamshell hose made out of a shoulder bone of a deer, and primitive tools. So what we did is we took the most rigorous tool, which is the flint hoe, and we hired a flint laborer, and we had him dig in the soil by Poverty Point down in Louisiana. Very sandy. It ain't Ohio, where the ground freezes over and you've got a narrow window to work, right? This is Louisiana. So you get winters, but not like Ohio. And the soil was very loamy, a lot of sand in it. And we show this guy digging with it, and of course he's picking up the dirt in his hands and putting it in a bucket. We spared him the offense of putting it in deer hide and throwing it over his shoulder. So that's what they would have done, or baskets. So he carries the bucket an appropriate distance to where the mound would have been built, and he dumps the bucket. So he's already got one bucket dumped, and now we dump another bucket, and he stamps it down with his feet. At this point, the audience is laughing hysterically because, and I show this at my conferences, because what we're doing is we're deconstructing the mythos surrounding this whole thing. And that's just one problem. So look, you've got a labor force. Who's feeding the labor? Who's designing this thing? Who comes in with advanced mathematics? That's the second film, Mathematical Mysteries of the Mound Builders. Where does all this stuff come in? This advanced geometry, trigonometry, surveying techniques, knowledge of the solstices, the equinoxes, knowledge of the 18-and-a-half-year lunar cycle. And that takes it right out, and just into the deep water where, the great white shark is ready to eat you. And it's like, here's the problem with this, okay? So the three of us, we get in our little time capsule, and we travel back 4,000 years, okay? And we go, we're going to make this mound, but we want to make it on the 18-and-a-half-year lunar cycle. And I turn to you and I go, well, Chris, how do we know it's an 18-and-a-half-year lunar cycle? And you go, we don't know. I guess we're going to have to track the moon and see what it does. So we go, okay. So we get up at 1 o'clock in the morning, and there's the moon, and we put a stake in the ground, make a little notch where it is, and we watch it all night, and then it goes behind the horizon, make another stake, make a notch in that. Next night we come out, do the same thing, So we're doing this for like 15 days, and we realize that the moon is waxing and waning, and it's appearing in different places, and maybe we do it for 3 months because and the weather's perfect. All of a sudden, the 5-day storm comes in. We can't see the moon. Now what? We just lost 5 days. So, and here's the deal: how would you process the data? Right? So you're doing this, you have no idea how long the lunar cycle is. So you got Tonto over there who's saying, no offense to Native Americans, but you got Tonto over there who's going, I think maybe it's a 5-year cycle. And you got Ed and Bernie over there going, nah, it's only a 3-year cycle. So nobody knows what it is. So how would you crunch the data? And you do this for 18-and-a-half years before you would go, wait a minute, I think we're back at the beginning. How long ago was that, Walter? I think it was 18-and-a-half years, by gosh. And there you go. So, you have all this mystery that's embedded in the mounds, and the archaeologists go, oh, they knew all about the 18-and-a-half-year lunar cycle. Well, how did they know? When Native Americans didn't know 150 years ago about, when the white men first came in, about the Metonic cycle, the 18-and-a-half. And that's only one deal. Then you get the earth. Let's circle back to Fort Ancient. How do you take the earth and pack it? And the archaeologists go, well, we found evidence of a basket. Here it is. And they show you the picture of a basket full of earth in the mound, near the top of the mound. And my immediate retort was, you don't know whether that's for a secondary burial. You have no idea where that's original. So you have one basket, which I agree, it's a basket. It's a basket full of dirt. And you construct this whole narrative on one basket, and you don't even know where this basket was placed by a Native American using the mound for internment. And we know that happened. We know when Native Americans came into the land, they looked at these mounds and went, well, we'll just, we'll bury our dead. This is sacred land, obviously. We'll bury our dead here. So, those are just some of the ways we've deconstructed. But let me talk about one more thing before we move on to another question. When you go down to Poverty Point, There is advanced geometry in the entire site. The entire site is laid out with advanced geometry. Well, where did that come from? And see, when you pose these questions, the archaeologists, they'll have answers for everything. Well, Native Americans, blah, 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 blah. Well, last time I
It's
checked,
true.
nobody was doing Pythagorean theorem. Nobody even knew about it. So the white guys came over here, okay? And I'm not saying the white guys are smart. I'm just saying it all came out of the Middle East anyway. Pythagoras borrowed it from the Phoenicians. Where did the Phoenicians get it? And back and back and back. And in my opinion, you get into the whole fallen angel technology. This is where it all comes from. That's
Do
why
you
I
think
call it
it's
fallen angel technology, Nephilim architecture.
like the Sumerians and even older?
The Sumerians are getting their stuff, Sumer and Nineveh and all these places. This is fallen angel central in the Middle East. And they even show what they look like, these winged beings with the long beards, and they're carrying these little satchel deals. Well, you don't know who they are. And don't try to tell me ancient aliens, they're going to go, these are from the planet Zeppo. You have no idea what these people were or where they're from.
There's some assumptions made there.
Yeah, I mean,
Because then you have to go back to Göbekli Tepe, which is another, puzzle right there and
Even
way
older.
older than, so yeah. we're
why
going-
why was it buried?
Exactly.
Why did they bury it? Or here's
Exactly.
something to think about. Maybe they didn't bury it. Maybe somebody else buried it because they didn't want it seen. Fast forward circa 1967, 1970, America Stonehenge. The entire site is buried, and no one knows why. It's a 4,000-year-old site. So the Stone family buys it, and there's this big slab of stone, and they kind of go, well, gee, that's kind of odd, don't you think? And somebody goes, yeah, but it's basically buried. And they start excavating, and they find out that this stone slab is on 4 legs, right? The whole site was buried. And then they find the secret chamber, which was completely hidden until they started the excavation. And then they find a stone. This is why, and this is episode 4 of our On the Trail of the Nephilim series. It's called the Bowel Connection. They find a stone in America Stonehenge. It's got writing on it. They know it's writing, but they have no idea what it says. They can't read it. It appears to be some kind of writing. It sits in their museum for 11 years. Enter Dr. Barry Fell. Dr. Barry Fell comes over, looks at it and goes, that looks like Iberian Punic. I think I can translate it. So he takes a photograph on a rubbing. He goes back. A while later, he says, I've translated it, and this is what it says. To Baal of the Canaanites in dedication. So when we're in the museum, this is in the film. When we're in the museum, I'm filming Kelsey Stone, the grandson, right? And Kelsey's, this is all B-roll, what turned out to be A-roll. Kelsey's taking me through the museum, and he's showing me all these artifacts and the arrowheads and the large axe heads and all this stuff. And he goes, well, this is the stones that we found on the site with the writing on them. I go, okay, so what's this one say? I have no idea what he's going to say. And he goes, oh, this one says this was found in one of the collapsed chambers by Dr. Woodall, and it was translated by Dr. Barry Fell, but it lay in the museum for 11 years, and it says to Baal of the Canaanites. And then you hear this long pause, and I go, what did you just say? Because he has no idea he's now in my wheelhouse. He has no idea the connection between Baal and the Phoenicians and the Canaanites. He has no idea. I'm the guy I'm patting myself on the back here, but that's my wheelhouse. And
Right.
when he told me that, I just went, what did you just say? And the whole point is, what the heck is a stone dedicated to the Canaanite god Baal doing in New Hampshire, for crying out loud?
Exactly.
Hello.
Yes.
Hidden history.
Absolutely.
So what is it you think happened and transpired here?
Well, we are in a cosmic war between two opposing factions. And people had this misnomer of the God of the Bible. You know, it's not some white-haired preacher slamming the Bible and running up and down the stage. It's not what we're talking about here. I call the Bible, first of all, the guidebook to the supernatural, because that's what it is. It's a guidebook to the supernatural. It's, Bible just means book. What that book is a guidebook to the supernatural. And when one begins to delve into it, there are infinite layers of it. It never ceases to amaze me what's in those pages. You can spend, and I do, I spend weeks sometime in just one chapter, just not only memorizing it, but doing word studies and then looking for other connections, because that's how deep it is. And so a long, long time ago, and we don't know the date on this, there was a rebellion between forces. It sounds like Star Wars, but that's what it is. Long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. This anointed cherub by the name of Lucifer rebelled, and he took about a third of the inhabitants with him. They all rebelled. So the question is, well, how does that happen? Well, people just don't wake up on a Monday morning and go, we're going to rebel. Gee, that sounds good. I'm not even sure what that word means, but we're going to do it anyway. And so there's this rebellion that takes place. So, the God of the Bible could have snapped his fingers and snuffed it all out, but he doesn't do that. He doesn't do that. He allows it to play out because of free will. He allows it to play out, and then he creates, you got it, you and me. And he places in what I call the dragon trap. And of course, the serpent comes in and usurps everything. We take on the serpent's DNA, which is that's why the planet is in utter chaos, because we all have this proclivity to do things that we don't want to do, yet we do them anyway. Nasty things sometimes, right? And there's a whole long list of those things, and we're all guilty in some sense of those things. So we are at war. We are in a war footing. We are in the prophetic timeline where this thing is rapidly coming to a head, very quickly, I think. And so these entities came down thousands and thousands of years ago, and they bestowed this knowledge on human beings. How do I know this? Read the book of Enoch, which is really interesting. The book of Enoch was part of the canon originally, and then it was taken out and lost in the Western world, really, until R.H. Charles discovered it. It is the first book in the Ethiopian Guidebook of the Supernatural. That's their first book. It's also found in the Dead Sea Scrolls. It's also quoted in the Hebrew Bible and in the New Testament. And the early church fathers knew about the book of Enoch. When you read the book of Enoch, it's the missing key, in my opinion. It's the missing part of the puzzle. And once we read it and we understand what happened thousands of years ago, it's like, oh my gosh. And the whole thing just goes, whang, the whole thing just opens up. But unless you have that key, you go, well, this God of the Old Testament's really kind of a bummer, man. He's always killing people. He wipes the world out in the flood, and then Sodom and Gomorrah. What the heck is so bad about Sodom and Gomorrah? And then, it's genocide. He tells the children of Israel, go and kill everybody in the land. Ah! It's like, I remember reading it 40 years ago and going, I'm not doing this, and throwing the book, against the wall and walking out of the room. I can't do this. How can I possibly, believe what I'm hearing? This is genocide. And then you plug the Nephilim in, and it's the missing piece. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh my gosh, the fallen angels are trying to contaminate the bloodline. That's what the whole thing's about. There's an ancient prophetic text, okay? And it's Genesis 3:15. That's just an address. Genesis, beginning. Chapter 3, verse 15. So you can get there. If I just said it was in the book of Genesis, you could spend the rest of your life looking for it and never find it. So Genesis 3:15 is just an address. There's nothing spiritual about it at all. Just an address, okay? So when you go to the address, you read, the scene is, I believe it's Yeshua in the garden, the dragon's over here, Adam and Eve's over here. And he goes, your seed, your offspring, to the dragon. The offspring of a dragon will be at war, at enmity with the offspring of the woman. The offspring of the woman will come and crush your head. You will bruise his heel. That sets up the whole deal. That sets up the rest of the biblical prophetic narrative. And unless people understand what that means, you're clueless, because you have no idea when you get to Genesis 6 and the Nephilim are on the earth. You kind of go, well, why is he going to flood and kill everybody except for 8 people? And I got to show you something. Hold on. That's what this book is about. Ta-da! Shameless plug. This is the new book. It just came out. How the Nephilim returned after the flood. Notice the Nephilim skull there. And so what this is, it's a seed war. And when was the last time you heard anybody talk about this? You don't. And yet it's right there in the guidebook of a supernatural. Your offspring, your seed, will be at war with the offspring of the woman. The one that comes from the woman will crush your head. In other words, take your kingdom from you. You will bruise his heel. Now, you know, the God of the Bible could blink his eyes and this whole thing could be over with. That's not what he does. He allows it to play out. He allows it to play out. So this is like a 4-hour conversation, and we've already used up almost a half an hour. Maybe we should move on.
Well, there's a lot to talk about. I mean,
Yes.
you talk about the fallen angels and them breeding with man somehow, right? That's
Yeah.
just part of it with the giants. And
Absolutely.
I don't know how the parts fit.
No.
And we don't know the real details of that. But somehow blossoms a civilization that eventually is wiped out, you know, by God. And somehow they have reached other parts of the world that we were unaware, particularly the Americas, right? And that's what we're talking about with these mounds, like the Great Serpent Mound in Ohio.
There was I'm actually the number 7 on the in the series, On the Trail of the Nephilim. There's actually 6 films in the series. I'm working on 7 called Lost Civilizations. And what we show is that there's a Western expansion out of the Middle East. This whole thing just expands. When Joshua and Caleb come in to the Promised Land about 3,500 years ago, that's what starts this incredible expansion. And they go everywhere. They go all through from Cyprus out to Italy, to Sardinia, Malta, Majorca, Spain, England, France, and then over to the Americas, down out the Red Sea. Down there's a pillar in Africa, and it says basically that, you know, I should get the actual. Hold on, let me just see if I can find it here real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, there it is. Because it's just, if I can find it, it's just basically it says that you know, Joshua the robber, that's what they call him. Joshua the robber was the one who's responsible for doing this. Let me see if I can find it. Of course, the moment I want to find something, it's just like, you know, next. Oh, I can't. But
We understand.
Yeah. The
We went
gist
through
of
a
it
little
is,
of that before the show, as you saw.
yeah, here's this stele, and it talks about, we fled here from the land of Canaan because of Joshua, the robber, the son of Nun. That's unfrickin' believable. You know, it's not a forgery, it's the real deal. So there's this expansion. Let me get another prop.
Love, he's got props. This is great.
There's this expansion of what we call Nephilim tribes. And it's global. It's absolutely freaking global. And when you look at this, you tell me, this is all in episode 6. That's
Whoa.
the DNA.
Wow.
This is a 1-to-1 replica of one. And in our episode 6, you know, the DNA, this guy's found in Peru. All right? He doesn't belong there, and this is not the result of cranial deformation or cradle headboarding. How do I know? Watch episode 6, because we've got medical doctors, surgeons, optometrists, archaeologists, anthropologists, a whole slew of people coming on the record and saying, you know what? This ain't human. This is another species. I'll just run through a couple of quick little things here so you can see. See the orbits right here? Those are about 30% larger than a normal human being. 30% larger than a normal human being. The pupil distance, they call it the PD, between the center of the pupil to the other center of the pupil. A normal human being is about 62, 65. These are about 40, 42. So, and then you've got a lack of sagittal suture. There should be a suture that goes from the front here. This is a suture right there. Okay. So you should have a suture which goes from here all the way back, and you don't. There is no suture. There is a disease called craniosynostosis, which closes the suture, but we don't see any of that. There's not even a vestige of it. And so
that's really interesting about the pupil distance, because you would think, all right, if the other theory, the one you hear, that it's from headbands and the skull growing abnormally, that it would increase in size, not decrease. It would literally stretch the bones out, right? They're larger anyways.
Exactly. The kicker is right there. That's called the foramen magnum. Right there is the foramen magnum. Right here. That's the foramen magnum. You'll notice that it's all the way to the posterior of the head. It should be right about in here to balance the skull. It should be in the center, right there, but it's not. And you cannot move
the base.
You cannot move the foramen magnum through cranial deformation. You can't do that. It's not going to happen. You can't move it. So we're looking at a genetic anomaly, and that's why we did. You would think that we'd sell 1 million of these things. I mean, I'm not crying poor here. You can go to our site, streaming.lamarzulli.net. You can rent them all for $25. Download them, stream them, binge watch them. I'm working on 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11 are already we've already got all the film for it. We are uncovering what's really going on, and nobody, well, I won't say nobody, but most of the people really don't care. I mean, it's just like you can see the UFO book behind me. I mean, when it's like, the government stated a couple of months ago that our government has in their possession vehicles not made on this planet. That's what they said. Off-world vehicles not made on this planet. Nobody cares.
Correct.
I mean,
why isn't that in the mainstream media?
Well, you
it's
got to dig for it.
It comes and goes.
Right.
I mean, you want to talk about
all this sensory stuff. I don't think it's really processing with a lot of people.
Right.
What's really going on out there?
Yeah. Well, people were numb. People were numb.
True.
And and it's like I just want to get back to normal. That may never happen. The way things are going. But
I don't think we were ever normal to begin with. We're definitely not normal.
But there's this. I say this over and over again. There's a hidden history. There's a hidden history which has been deliberately obfuscated from the peoples of the world, and that's why we're on the trail. That's why I do what I do. I mean, you can see I'm lit up and passionate about it. I love it. I mean, I absolutely love what I get to do, and we've traveled all over the world. And once if COVID ever lifts, and I can get on a plane without the goofy vaccine papers, please, a tongue. So if I can do that, we've got other places we really want to go. So we'll see.
Right.
That's excellent. So did you say you actually sell the replicas of the skulls?
Well, on our website, you can go and you can order them from Joe Taylor, Mount Blanco. He's the guy that did it. Joe went down with us a couple of times, took the cast. He's the one that molds them, and Mount Blanco Museum. But on our website, there's a link. You can go right there and do it.
And what is that website? Is it the lamarzulli.wordpress.com or is it a different one?
No, just lamarzulli.net.
.net. Okay.
Oh, okay. All right. I see that. I've got a couple of websites for you, so that's where they want to go. lamarzulli.net. And you can get the videos, as well as the skull replicas, which I think would look awesome behind us.
I think so too.
The new bookcase we built for the show over there.
Like, man, we want one of those.
A bunch of curiosities. And it's so cool to see it up close. Obviously, I've seen pictures and some video of those kind of skulls before, Paracas Skulls.
Yes.
But to have one to really study.
The thing is, and just to know that underneath that, nobody ever shows that. And you're right. That's completely game-changing right there.
That's the game changer, and that's the work of our anthropologist, Rick Woodward. Rick's the guy, nobody else. It was Rick Woodward who said something's off here, guys. Rick Woodward was the guy that discovered it, and he's in the film, and he talks about it. And then we've got all these, like I said, doctors and surgeons and optometrists and chiropractors, and they're all going, this is another species. This ain't human. Now, all these people are on the film weighing in on it, obviously something's going on. Obviously.
There was a Chief Joseph Riverwind as well featured in the film.
Yeah.
What did he think?
Well, the Chief. This is what's great about having Chief, and he comes in on, 2 or 3 of the films, and he's First Nation people. So he says that 8, 9, 10, 12-foot red-haired 6-fingered giants roam the land in the Americas, and the tribes had to fight against them. It's in their oral tradition. And, of course, the archaeologist here is that, that's just a fanciful story. Well, that's why they're superstitious. No, this is in their oral tradition. Mm-hmm. So who's the real racist? In other words, they'll look at me, and I'm the racist because I say that Native Americans didn't build the mounds, the big ones, like Cahokia and other places. So I'm the racist because I'm saying something else is going on there. But then they don't believe what the Native Americans say in their oral traditions. We didn't do it. We didn't do it. It was here when we got here. So who's the real racist? You tell me.
Right. That's a good point. We wanted to present some pictures of the Great Serpent Mound in Cahokia, but unfortunately we were having a few difficulties there, so I didn't get them quite loaded correctly. Maybe you could describe those places for us a little bit?
Well, the Great Serpent Mound is the largest undulating serpent, earth serpent effigy on the planet. When you're there, I've been there 3 times. It's a charged site in our third film, Secrets of the Supernatural, Voices from the Other Side. There was this guy, Henry Gruber, who would go in and try to close the gateways that were there. And he went into the Serpent Mound, but he wasn't told to go to the Serpent Mound, but he went anyway. And he, tried to close the gate, and it's snowing. And on the way back to the parking lot, he's hit in the solar plexus by an unseen force. Down he goes. He can't move. And he realizes he's going to die. It's all in the film. It's all in the film. We did a CGI, so we brought his testimony to life. These sites are very highly charged, and you have to ask yourself, we have to ask ourselves, why would Hunbat's men drag the Mayan elders to the Serpent Mound in 2012, which is what they did. And we show this in the film. They're doing their chanting, and they're trying to open up a gateway, which is what they're trying to do. Gruber closed that gateway years ago, as well as a woman who also was told in a dream to go stand on the head and close the gate, and she did. But that's years ago. So what happens is it gets closed, and then it gets reopened, and closed and reopened. These sites, some of them can be very, very highly charged sites. And I don't say that lightly, which is why we always pray up before and afterwards to go in for protection. You got to, because there's stuff there that you don't want to drag out home with you. No
we completely understand that.
Yeah, we believe that. We're paranormal researchers ourselves, not just hosts, and we are often out, and we've come across some things that, just in that world seem dark and dangerous and will follow you home. Mm. So, we do lean heavily on the idea of banishments and cleansings and things of that nature, because you need some sort of personal protection. And when you're talking about ancient evils,
yes, yeah,
there is a real reason to be afraid.
That's another thing I wanted to ask you. How did they know that it was as you put it, highly charged, and a highly charged area? If you look, and like most of these, I believe, and a lot of other ancient places are on highly charged areas. How did they know that that's what they were, and that's where they were?
Well, because this is why we show this in the Axis Mundi, another shameless plug, but it's in the 5th film of the Amatrail of the Nephilim series, where we show the connectivity between America's Stonehenge and Stonehenge, England. And this is the work of Kelsey Stone, 3rd generation there. This, in my opinion, is the greatest archaeological discovery of the 20th century, moving into the 21st. And yet archaeologists won't even look at it. It's just mind-numbing. So here's
it really is.
It's maybe a lot for them to wrap their logical heads around. But in another way, it is sort of logical.
It's also, they don't get funded if they go past the straight and narrow. If they take another path,
exactly.
Right? They won't get funding because...
Yeah, you're no longer curator of the museum. You just lost your funding. sayonara.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, they all party the same party line. So when you go from, I'll get some props here. The center of America's Stonehenge, right here. This is the center of the henge. The henge is a circle. So it's America's Stonehenge. This is where everything radiates from. And you out to the summer solstice standing stone. They are in direct line. They're in a direct line, okay, like that. Direct line. So Kelsey Stone grew up with this. He grew up there. It's his third generation. So he used to watch the summer solstice sunrise. And they realized that the site was in with these standing stones, which are in place in the ground, like maybe 80 yards away from the center, and they're all around the site, okay? And the summer solstice standing stone, that's when the sun would come up. And once they saw that, they went, wow, that's amazing. So they would gather there for the summer solstice, longest day of the year. Sun comes right up over the stone. So Kelsey's a college student, 23 years old. This is a number of years ago now, about 8 years ago. And he goes on Google Earth because he goes, gee, I wonder what happens if I draw a line from the center of my henge, our site, on Google Earth, right, out to the summer solstice standing stone. I wonder what happens. So he's on Google Earth, and he starts to draw the line. I have no idea what he's doing. He's just playing around. He's a 23-year-old college student with too much time on his hands. And he discovers, in my opinion, the greatest archaeological discovery of the 21st century. Absolutely.
That's
Which,
amazing.
of course, is ignored because it blows everybody right out of the water. So he draws the line on Google Earth. He extends it. He's by Nova Scotia. He's in the Atlantic. He crosses the Atlantic, and he goes over. Now he goes through Ireland, and he finds himself in southern England. And the light bulb goes off, and he goes, I wonder how close I am to Stonehenge. Stonehenge, England. So he starts to, he finds where Stonehenge is in, and brings the line up, and starts to zoom in, and zoom in, and zoom in, and to his utter astonishment, that line splits the center trilithon. A trilithon is a lentil like this with two uprights. That line from America Stonehenge, the center of their henge, out to the summer solstice standing stone, completely bisects the center trilithon dead center. And that is, you cannot do that in the ancient world. Let me show you a prop. Hold on, I think I
Sure, take your time.
I love the props.
We like the props.
This is great.
think I have. And again, I might not. Oh, here it is. Good. So, this is from my book, On the Trail of the Nephilim, and Kelsey was nice enough to let me use it. So, it becomes, absolutely astonishing. So here's the first line right there. There's the center of their henge. That's where the line begins. I got it upside down, like this.
There you go.
You can see. You can see where it originates. And it goes out to the summer solstice standing stone, which is right. I gotta move this. Hold on. Which is right. There's the center of their henge. So it goes out. I'm trying to do it upside down. And there's the summer solstice standing stone right there. So that's the first line. So then he continues that line, and he finds himself going over Nova Scotia. There's the line. See the line?
Okay.
Got it? So now he's Nova Scotia.
Mm-hmm.
And then he figures, let me see the next one. And then he's now in southern England, like I said, and he winds up splitting their Stonehenge.
Oh my
And
goodness.
splits both of the trilithons dead center.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And you can't
So-
you can't
Right.
do
The
this.
question is,
This is why it's
Right.
fallen angel technology.
Yeah, I was going to
Fallen
say, the
angels
question
acknowledge
is right there. How did they
Nephilim
do that?
architecture.
How did they know?
It seems almost too perfect.
can't.
Like it,
Exactly.
yeah. I
Well,
mean, certainly you can take any
and
2 points and draw a straight line, but when you
True.
got 3 now, and it goes dead
Yeah.
center,
yeah, yeah.
That's
You got
pretty
you got
impressive.
3 points, and that's why it goes off the rails. We discovered when we were there filming. Uh, uh, Dennis Stone, Kelsey's dad, dropped the bomb on us. We went up to the war room, and he had other production companies, History Channel, and all these other big production companies. But he never gave them what he gave us, which was not only does it bisect Stonehenge, that's why we call it the Axis Mundi, the center of the world. The other standing stones wind up same thing. It's 3 points, not 2 points. So 3 points, Chaco Canyon. 3 points, Teotihuacan, Mexico. 3 points, Machu Picchu, Peru. 3 points, Canary Islands. 3 points,
Wow.
Great Pyramid, Egypt. 3 points, Stonehenge, England. So we called it the Axis Mundi right here in America, and we know it's 4,000 years old
Wow.
with the
That's
bow
incredible.
stone. Oh,
Amazing.
it's just, and you would think that this thing would be studied and looked at, and it's just like nobody cares. Nobody cares.
No.
It's just, I care. I mean, I'm jumping up and down, flailing my arm, trying to get people. You don't understand something, folks. You can't do this 4,000 years ago. You can only do it in modernity with satellites. That's how you do it in modernity. And the fact that
Right.
it bisects both trilithons at Stonehenge, England, and then all these other points, that's why we call it the Axis Mundi. And it's all in the film, shameless plug, at the Axis Mundi, episode number 5. Just like the
That's-
DNA is episode 6. Folks, if you're watching this, you don't know what you're missing. Seriously.
Yeah. Absolutely. We love this stuff as well, and we don't understand. We ask the same question all the time. Why aren't people, or scientists, getting into this stuff?
right?
Because
And we
we're-
wonder,
yeah.
like, what about that energy? You mentioned, and what do
Ley
you think
lines.
of ley lines? Yeah, where do ley lines play a role in this? If you think they follow these same lines that you're drawing, or the ancient, for lack of a better term, evil energies kind of trapped within these ley lines?
Well, the ley lines could be used for good or evil. They're just lines. They're just energy grids. Unfortunately, the bad guys control them for the most part. And so that's why these sites are highly charged. There was a network that they had, and that network was destroyed. That's why you get Göbekli Tepe buried. That's why America Stonehenge buried. That's why these entities who built the mounds just vanish. No one knows what happened. Lost civilizations. The oldest city in the Americas, we talk about this in episode 7, Lost Civilizations. The oldest city in the world may be Corral. It's 5,000 years old. Okay? There's no pre-existing culture for Corral. None. Advanced geometry, 18-and-a-half-year lunar cycle, knowledge of the solstices, equinoxes, advanced building techniques. Guess what shape they're building in? The pyramid. Hello. And this is all in America, in Peru. I've been to the site 3 or 4 times. It's mind-boggling. And then these people just vanished. No one knows what happened to them. We hear it over and over and over again. It's just mind-boggling.
Right.
You mentioned that the pyramids, which of course we see all over the globe, but serpents, like you mentioned earlier, also make a lot of appearances, and certainly in that mound, which I wish I could have shown a picture of. I apologize. I mean, it is clearly a serpent. It's huge.
Oh yeah, but the serpent, the serpent's mouth is in the act of swallowing an egg. Now that's in other words, people have been saying the interpretation of a serpent mound, it's giving birth to this an egg. The serpent is wisdom, and it's giving birth to this wisdom to mankind. No. Read Genesis 3:15. The serpent is in the act of swallowing the egg. In other words, the offspring, the seed of the woman, that's what all this is about. The serpent is in the act of trying to swallow that egg from the women. So the one who will crush his head will never, and you can only see it from the air. The one who will crush his head will never be born. So that thing, there it is, the serpent's mouth like this, in the act of swallowing the egg, not giving birth to it. Serpents don't give birth through their mouth, for crying out loud. No.
No, they do not.
Serpent, and I'm the guy that put that on the map. I'm the guy that wrote a paper on it. I'm patting myself on the back here. But that was because of Gary Stearman's lecture at the Nephilim Mounds conference that we did several years ago. It's all about the seed. And then an archaeologist, amateur archaeologist, Mark, was the guy who said, LA, I think the serpent's in the act of swallowing the egg, destroying the egg. And when you're up there, we flew our drone way up above. It's like, there it is. Oh my gosh. And you can only see it from the air. So why are people constructing this when you can only see it from the air? Oh, there's Bean the cat.
I know. I was looking at
Hi,
him.
Bean.
We love cats.
Yep, we have cats. They make appearances.
They do make appearances on our show, so she's more than welcome.
It almost reminds me of like the Nazca lines as well. You can only see them really from the sky.
Yeah. So, and that begs the question, who's getting up on a Monday morning? And I've been to Nazca a couple of times, and it's an amazing sight. And, elongated skulls are found all over that place. And some of them are cradle headboarded. I get that. But others like this, no way. And we can tell the difference. Thanks to Rick Woodward, our anthropologist. Just turn the skull over, and if the foramen magnum's here, in the center, then it's human. If it's in the back, it ain't human.
No way.
No, it's certainly smaller than the human skull, or it would be more like a child.
Like you said, in the center. It should be in the center. How would
exactly?
Still trying to picture
the skull itself, like a different creature altogether. There.
Yeah.
I just lost your audio.
Oh,
really?
Testing 1 2.
Yeah, it's probably on my end, even though I'm with my cell phone, trying to use my cell phone here.
It is so interesting.
It is very
Okay,
interesting.
there. I think you're okay. Say something.
Are we okay?
Good. Yeah, we can hear you just fine.
Okay. Yeah, you guys are frozen on the screen.
Oh, no.
Oh, that might be internet. We do have a stream up on another computer, and it's still rolling, so I think we're good. There's a little bit of a delay, from real time to that. Oops, we might have lost him.
I think it might have been on his own.
He might have been experiencing some internet issues. Let me see what we can do here for this.
Oh, what a great guest.
Excellent. Very knowledgeable. That was a lot of fun. I love ancient civilizations.
Absolutely. It's one of the big things.
Yeah, it looks like he's dropped off the stream. So if he makes a return, we'll add him back in. And we would like to plug his website again, where you can get those videos, those books, and even the skulls that he was showing us, which is wonderful.
He has I went to his website. He has other things as well. He's got a shop. Some pretty cool things.
Excellent. That's www.lamarzulli.net.
Yes.
All right, it's spelled LAMARZULLI.net. So you can find out more about LA there and his adventures and the Nephilim, as well as these mounds in
Cahokia,
which was very interesting. Again, we did have a bunch of pictures lined up for you guys. I apologize.
Fort Ancient was
just
there, and it was really
working for us here in the stream for some reason.
So yes, please look him up. He's really great, researching and everything else, and that just blew my mind.
That was pretty mind expansive.
Out of all the Paracas skulls I've seen, I've never seen the underneath of where that stem would go.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it looks like he might have rejoined. Let's see if we can bring him on.
There he is.
Hey, LA.
Hey, guys. Sorry for the connection. It's on my end.
That's
no worries. No worries at all. We were just touting your website a little bit and talking about what an interesting guest you have been. We've really enjoyed this.
Oh,
can you hear us okay?
Can you hear me? Yeah, I can.
Yes,
Sometimes
we can.
you freeze and I can't hear you at all. Okay, good.
Oh, that's all right. We're used to internet gremlins. We understand.
It happens every
Trust
time.
me, we encounter them often. Well,
Oh yeah.
in summation, I know we only had an hour. We wanted to talk just a little bit about where people can find you and about what else you might have on that website, some of your books, as well as the videos on the Nephilim.
Yeah, I've actually written. I got to update my info. I don't know where you, because it's actually 13 books. This is number 13. Countermove, Have a Nephilim Return After the Flood. Really hard book to write, really tough. And there's some great people that come on. Mondo Gonzalez, Mark Kahn, Dr. Ken Johnson, Doug Hamp. So we had some help with it. But it's a very interesting book. We also have 6 in our series, On the Trail of a Nephilim series. Number 7, Lost Civilizations, will be uploaded. The Watchers series, there's 10 films in there. The point I'm trying to make is there's a ton of resources that are there, a ton of resources, and you won't get bored. This is right up your alley. So,
Absolutely.
LAMarzulli.net.
We were on it yesterday, and they're like, look at all this stuff. You got videos. There is a lot of stuff going on there,
I love this stuff.
which we really enjoy. And certainly have opened up our eyes to some things we were not aware of.
Yes.
Quite a few.
Yes.
And more than the scope. So,
Cool.
Exactly. Wow.
super interesting. I have a feeling we could keep this interview going for hours because you have a lot of information here.
Oh yeah,
So,
absolutely. Right.
we'd love to have you back sometime to maybe focus on another aspect of it.
Sure, would love to. Just book it, put a date, and we'll make it happen.
Right
All
on.
right.
Right on. We appreciate it, and thank you for rejoining. I didn't want to end
Thank
that
you.
way, but we got you covered, and totally understand the gremlins. We had our own, as you witnessed right
Thank you.
before the show. We appreciate it, and we'll see
Live
you
long
soon.
and
Elliot.
prosper,
Thank
guys.
you again.
Right on. Thank you.
So,
Can't do that.
take care. Bye-bye.
All right.
You too.
Enjoy your
Thank you.
weekend. Thank you. Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'll give ourselves this little frame, and you can see a rather creepy looking cemetery behind us. And maybe we can give you a little better shot of it. Let me see here.
It's actually
What we should probably do is tell you a little bit about what we've been up to, because we've been off the air for a while. We took
Yes.
a little hiatus. If
A
you
little
follow
bit.
Bigfoot and the Bunny, you noticed that we've kind of been gone for a couple of months.
Yeah.
And certainly one of the things we did is build this studio that we're in
Mhm.
today in a spare room, and tried to up our game a little bit, be a little bit more profesh.
Mhm.
So my daughter would say, profesh.
Yeah.
Profesh, Dad. And we've got a whole ton of blinky lights and gear over here. That's a little bit off screen, but
boards,
you may eventually see
cameras.
we had a few more cameras to work the room.
Sure.
But that wasn't all of it. That wasn't all of it.
No.
We did, as we've mentioned, we are paranormal researchers, and we are out trying to collect data to analyze. So basically proof of an afterlife. And one thing that we've noticed is when you do this enough, people weren't kidding me, and things can follow you home, and they can kind of create your own hauntings and whatnot. And while, our homes have always had some activity, it just kind of hit a crescendo
A little bit.
at a point where,
Just needed a break. We needed,
needed
to
a break.
cleanse our homes, and we needed to cleanse our souls. So
exactly.
Yes, we
Took
did.
a little time off, and it was good to do. We
Just
did
a
this
little.
out of just the love and passion of it, really. I know it's just something we really enjoy, and when it started to disrupt the home life, we were just like,
yeah, that's
maybe we can
a little chaotic sometimes.
chill on this for a little bit, catch up with a few other things.
But see, we said we took a little time off, but we actually did a session in January
We did a
just
session,
to see
and
the-
when we say a session, we mean a spirit box session.
a spirit box session. It was in my dining room.
Yeah.
My house is was built in 1740. It's almost 300 years old, and I do have some activity in it, and
Yeah, it's definitely old.
you will hear some of this. And
This is the spirit box we use. We like this S box. We've got a little collection of them. We use a Shack Hack as well, an old modified Radio Shack radio. But I believe on this session we're using the S box, and we just had the S box and a recorder instead of recording right to it. This does have the ability to record internally, but you wouldn't really necessarily hear what we were asking.
did you bring the recorder with you from our props?
It's over there somewhere. I did want to show the spirit box. At the front of this session, and literally what I'm going to play for you next, we had just turned on the recorder and the spirit box, and it's the very first few seconds of it. And at the end of the clip I'm going to play you, you'll hear me start to talk, and you know that's when we began asking questions in this session. And again, we used to do this stuff a lot at home, and like it really got a little crazy. Like we have shows, if you go back into the archives of Bigfoot and Bunny, a Dark Horse Paranormal podcast, which by the way is available anywhere podcasts are getting, you know, you can find them, which has a lot of our data that we collected. You'll hear that we were, you know, doing sessions over the phone when we weren't together and different things. And we tried doing some experimentation with this. So it's a little bit of a twist. And this is just a straight spirit box session.
Yes, but we
Ghost
had
box.
this first clip that we have coming on. It's a legit EVP.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
this is
sorry,
like
I said it.
The
They're
third
off topic.
time we've done this, where we've just put on, our recorders. We haven't even put the spirit box on yet.
Asked a question or something like that.
We didn't even ask a question. She just comes out
And
says
we'll
it.
get an EVP. We have had certain reoccurrences of a similar voice we think may be the same spirit who gets named in one of these clips. But just to start,
Finally.
Well, try this. Let me play this for you. What I've done is I've got the clip untouched, just clipped. You'll hear some static. It's us literally just turning on the recorder. You're going to hear the EVP. And it has sort of an English accent to it.
She does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds very much like she's saying, I'm still talking about it, in a sort of British accent. And then I have gone as far as adding a little what I call noise reduction to take some of the static out, and you can hear the voice even more clearly. So it loops. I'm going to play that for you now. Okay, I'm going to try FM band.
Yes, that you're going to need some headphones. We tell everybody this usually on every show, but if you listen with headphones, you can hear it better. And that actually sounded really good.
Yeah, it sounds good in these headphones. I'm hoping it sounds as good in the stream. We can't hear what's coming through the stream, and that wasn't
It's a little
too loud or overbearing.
right.
But I'm still talking about it.
It's
I'll
really
play it one more time. Okay, I'm going to try FM band.
Chris and I usually, when we don't agree on what they say, we don't usually put it in. But this one, to me, it sounded like she said, "I'm so talking about it."
I hear that too.
Yeah.
We're kind of on the fence.
So we're on the fence with that. So I don't know what the viewers think. Please let us know.
Yeah, feel free to let us know.
Please.
Remember, you can always find us on whatever platform you're listening to us on. If you're on social media, you can find us at Bigfoot and the Bunny on Facebook. Simply, search for that, Bigfoot and the Bunny, or Dark Horse Paranormal. And those are our two pages on Facebook. We're also on Instagram. They're not quite as much.
And Twitter.
And Twitter. And we do try to tweet and keep up with the tweeting.
We do.
But, it's maybe not our best social media platform, but it is there. And you can message us through any of those, and we will get back to you. if you've had some unusual experiences or you hear something in our clips that you would like to discuss.
Please
Feel
feel
free to reach out.
Right with you, yes.
Tell us a little bit about the next clip.
So the next clip, this is what I didn't write down the question that we had asked.
Oh, this one's a little longer.
Oh, this is weird, but it's this is from the spirit box, and I forgot the question that we had asked. You had asked.
That's okay. So
What she says is, it's a woman. It says, "Woman, anywhere, Kristen goes. Evelyn, Chris, Jacob." And then Chris asks, "What's her name?" And you hear Evelyn.
Evelyn, yeah.
Yeah.
Again. So we think Evelyn, and we have other recordings and from other sessions in the same area of the house and stuff at Kristen's that seems like it might be the same person.
Is the woman that Kristen sees in the house here? What's her name? Can she talk to us? Is the woman that Kristen sees in the house here? What's her name? Can she talk to us?
Yeah,
That's interesting. You hear the repeated name Evelyn, and anywhere Kristen goes. That's interesting. My name.
and Jacob's name.
And Jacob's name.
It's perfect. So,
Kristen's son. So that's pretty cool.
yeah.
We like that.
This next clip is also funny.
Oh yeah, please set this up for us because there's a little
Yeah,
background.
as we were sitting there, Chris was sitting towards the side of me, and I feel like fingers going through the top of my head. So I had asked, who just ran their fingers through my hair, and this one's really funny because I call it the blame game.
There you go.
Because
Perfect.
you hear right away, not me, and then you hear a woman say, Harry, and then it's Paul. It was Paul, and it says Paul 6 times through this clip.
Yeah, it's a total of 6 times, and it's really hard to deny this. Now, you got to think about, before I play the clip, I'm just going to review the idea and concept behind one of these little boxes. This is just scanning radio stations. It is just, like really fast, looping through them all. So to hear a repeated name like Paul, and then Paul is super clear in here. You're going to hear it several times. It's literally on there 6 times in this little clip. What are the odds, right? So if you want to break the science of the, spirit box, well, it's just random noise, something like that. I'm going to beg to differ with
right
clips
now.
like that. This is the data I've got, and that kind of tells me something's going on here. And, yeah, it is interesting. But you needed to know that she was feeling something and asked, who's running their fingers through my hair.
My hair was creepy.
So I've got this in 2 forms, again, with the noise reduction, which I'll play after. But this is the clip, just untouched.
Who just ran their fingers through my hair?
And the first voice, is it not me?
Yeah.
It sounds like it's not me.
Not me.
Not me.
As soon as I asked that question.
Then you hear a little.
Then you hear
Harry.
Harry.
And it was Paul.
Paul.
Paul, and so on.
The blame game.
And I'm sure no matter, even without the headphones, wherever you're listening to this, you must have heard at least, some of those Pauls. We do recommend you listen to these with headphones
Yes,
to
please.
for best audio. And this is the same clip with a little bit of noise reduction, some of the static taken out.
Who just ran their fingers through my hair?
It's crazy.
So yeah, that's pretty good. What else do we have there?
All right. So, you had asked. This one's really good as well. How many are here? How many consciousness are here?
Oh yeah, consciousness. And I say like consciousness is too many s at the end of that word.
Right. And then they go, it was a man, he goes, 24. And you can hear me laughing and I say it, 24, because I heard the man say it. And then another voice comes on, a male's voice, and says, 24.
All right, just to kind of clarify
Yeah,
things. And again,
yeah.
it's that repeating thing that we sometimes capture that really makes you wonder about the logic, of saying, this is just noise and it's radio noise, it's random or a pareidolia. It really, it is just data. I'm not saying this is absolute proof of anything, but it is certainly interesting.
How many are here besides Kristen and I? How many consciousness?
24.
Now we have to explain that because as this is flipping around, it's going extremely fast, but not fast enough for the same voice to come in that quickly.
Right, which is another aspect that we often capture in the spirit box is the same voice. So, it hasn't gone around the dial to
Right.
catch that particular radio station again, yet you would hear the same voice oftentimes through there. Sometimes they're different and they make up sentences and, multisyllabic words and things of that nature. But oftentimes we do catch like the same voice like, way ahead of time. I'll play that again. Now listen for the 24s. We'll try to signal you.
How many are here besides Kristen and I? How many consciousness?
24.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. But, overall, we have kind of taken a break. We also wanted to rethink what we were doing. I mean, certainly we're not the only people out there with, recorders and, spirit or ghost boxes or whatever you want to call them, or different tools. We have a variety now. We seem to be building up a little collection of things. But we wanted to try something different. So we're working on a project. We don't want to say too much about it till we're actually, got a lot of stuff to show you. But, now we've had our hiatus.
Yes.
We'd like to kind of get back into this, just not necessarily in our homes. So we're looking to visit more sites, and
The weather's getting better as
weather
well.
is getting better. Certainly, we've had COVID. We stay together, but we certainly don't, mix with other teams or researchers or whatever. We're kind of kept to ourselves and
Yeah, just our own thing.
laid low.
So it's a couple's journey.
We've been laying low.
Couple's journey into the what?
The mysterious
The unknown.
and the paranormal.
There we go.
And the COVID free, hopefully. We're trying to anyway, stay that way. And God knows a few of our friends have gotten sick, and it's been 2020 was rough, man. 2021 didn't start off great.
No.
Yeah, we spent that together and literally watched a neighbor's house burn down.
Down the street.
Yeah, two
Literally.
houses down the street, burned almost to the ground. So,
Yeah,
just after midnight.
just after. Yeah.
Yeah, that was interesting. So I'm like, wow, starting the year off with a bang.
Yeah.
That's great. We need a little bit of a break after everything. But we're definitely getting back. And as I said, we do have this project coming on. We're looking forward to getting that going.
It's going to take a little while
Mm-hmm.
for it as well, but we will be doing it in the field and during. We can't say much about it.
Yeah, we can't. We don't want to
I won't-
let too many cats out of the bag because cats like bags
and and boxes.
and boxes, and they like a lot of things, really.
Yeah, crazy.
But we'll be, teasing it along when from now to the time we actually want to present something really interesting and maybe something you haven't seen before.
Where basically it's a research
Mm-hmm.
that nobody's ever done before. So
Exactly.
Not
We
that
think it's pretty groundbreaking. We hope you guys will enjoy it as well.
yeah, it's going to be very different.
Yeah, so maybe outside of our homes. If we're lucky.
Well, we'll do it outside or in the field. I figured in the field, also in our home, at least mine.
Maybe. Depends on how things go.
Because
If it's a little crazy, then we get it back up.
yeah,
But we'll see. Like I said, we're going to tease it as we go along. We hope you like the new studio. We certainly have a lot of
Yes.
curiosities behind us on display. Some are tools, some are collectibles, some are just things we like. There's an old Ouija board back there from Dave in Salem. Some of our books.
first editions.
Interesting book collection. We might be having a special guest join us tonight as well. We may. Who might have some books of our own.
Mm-hmm.
You see, standing by. Just going to try to call into us, but she's at work, so if that happens, we'll add her immediately. Go on to that. What else we got going on, Kristen?
Well, we have an array of things, like we said, and we're having a really hard time because looking at the camera.
Yeah, we don't know what to look at.
Yeah, this has been one of our pet peeves or whatever it is here. Because we keep looking at the TV.
We've got TVs,
The TV.
laptops, 2 laptops. So we've got a camera that with a kind of like a flip screen to kind of watch ourselves, so we stay kind of focused on you, the listener.
Right.
And of course, it draws blocks around our heads, and we look like we're in Minecraft, which is kind of weird.
And we
Kind of expect to be doing a
had
little
a
weird
rip
thing
that.
there.
Yeah.
Crafting.
But yeah.
That's how you
that's-
craft.
So if
Minecraft.
you see us looking over towards this way, it's because our guests are usually up on the big TV. We have the stream going in front of us.
And sure,
right.
certainly our streams are delayed when we're
We've noticed.
watching it out there.
Yeah, we're watching.
So it's hard to keep up with the guests when watching the actual live stream come out. There's about a minute delay, it looked like, there for a little while.
I think it's 5 seconds.
I don't know. I don't think it has a standard time, but it got a little freakish there with LA. He was showing the skull, and I'm like, what's he talking about? I don't see
Yeah.
a skull, and I look at the TV. Oh, that.
Yeah. That's why we had
That's
to keep
kinda
looking
cool.
over because of our delay. So
yeah. And get some
we'll get it.
got some new T-shirts. This is
Okay.
my Dogecoin
My
T-shirt.
God.
For you guys that are into the meme stocks, I think I'm up like $8.30 on Dogecoin today. I hope it goes up a lot more. Pay for some of this crap around here.
Yeah, I wish we could show the boxes.
Yeah, we'll
gonna
do
do
that.
that.
We're gonna add some more cameras and
With our
such.
Camera here, which we're gonna
Mm,
go for a second angle.
yeah, this camera has infrared and full spectrum
It's good for the field.
abilities we can use and kind of see if we can capture any data in those spectrums that our eyes cannot see.
Yeah, that one.
But that's not really much to do with it, or anything really to do with the project coming up. It is truly something that hasn't been done before. You've seen on the shows or that kind of stuff. So
Right.
definitely stay tuned for that.
Yeah, this is going to be different. We're going to use some other research with that has already been out there, but this is basically our baby here. So.
Sure is. And we're going to wrap things up. I'm just giving our surprise guest a few more minutes to see if she can join before we cut out of here. I think we did tell her around 5:30 to join.
We did.
And of course, we blew through those clips pretty quick, which I told you it might happen.
Yes, you did tell me.
I don't know. We always do that. Like,
Yeah.
well, we got 4 clips. That's at least
We're good.
an hour.
Yeah. No.
5 minutes later.
5 minutes later.
It's like, now what are we going to do?
SpongeBob.
You know.
Yeah.
So, again, we're also revamping our website. We have www.darkhorse.paranormal.com is out there, and is underway of getting updated. Get a new picture, and we're hopefully get a lot more than that to show you. We get some information on LA, Marzulli on there, and this week we're going to be tweaking that. Me actually redesign the whole thing from the bottom up, because that had fallen out of date for a while. We have a lot of friends to add to it, because we certainly have had a lot of guests since then.
Yes.
And made some new friends.
We have Ken Allen coming on next week.
That's right. Ken Allen is an occultist and a friend of the show. He was on before with us, Bigfoot and the Bunny. He's got a new podcast himself out called The Wizard's Table. And you can find Ken Allen on Facebook.
He's it's called
probably some other places too, which we'll
I think there's a group called That's Conjure Baby.
That's Conjure Baby.
I love it.
Yep, that's one of his groups.
Yep.
And I think the other one is Wizard's Table. And Ken is great. He's into so many different things. Yeah, he's so eclectic. This ritual, magic, ceremonial, and like a host of other things. He's got voodoo and hoodoo going, and we've got a lot happening. Yeah. We respect that, and he is definitely very knowledgeable. And we had a great time talking to him last time, and we're going to talk a little bit, try to focus around banishments next week, for the very reasons that we explained before about taking this hiatus. Sometimes you just really need to lose some of these, dare I say it, attachments that, come about by the energy you're creating. And I'm not too sure. What do you think the draw is? Do you think it's the energy, the fact that you've opened the door, I think is a lot of it.
I think that's
which is
a big part
really
of it.
what you're doing with anything like this.
Even a Ouija board.
Ouija boards. Everybody picks on Ouija boards, but all the stuff is
divination.
You're all basically doing necromancy. You're talking to the dead, or you're trying to.
Right. I don't think a lot of people understand that.
Passed on.
It's a good thing to say, because I don't think a lot of people understand that. It's necromancy.
Right, they don't. And especially they view themselves as a ghost hunter or something.
Yeah.
Well, the hunting part is not accurate.
No.
What you really hope is that they wouldn't hunt you, because then you can start to run into some problems.
As you can see, I have
things get a little awry around the old household.
Yes. Oh, I actually I can feel 2 women in my house, but I've known that this woman has been in my house, and this is one of the reasons why. A lot of times, we talk about this too, you can feel the energy when you walk into my house. It could be very chaotic, and for people who are very sensitive, like us, you can literally walk into my entryway and go, oh geez. And it gets to the point where not things are just constantly flying around the house or anything like a movie, but sometimes things do fly around the house. So we just calm things down, and we do banishments and everything, but I think this has a lot to do with my house.
Yeah, it can be a little like a movie. I mean, it's not quite like Hollywood, but you can get some disturbing impressions as well. Your sleep can be affected, dream states. If you meditate, that can go a little sideways too. But we recommend meditating. I've been doing more of that.
Doing that for a while.
Yeah.
And like we said, we do banishment.
Yeah, we have our own things that we do, and we certainly tried a lot of different things too to see what was effective.
Believe me, some are effective and some you don't want.
Right. A lot of this started for us last year. We were doing a few, follow our podcasts and the Bigfoot and the Bunny show. We were talking about It Speaks and the quote unquote evil AM band.
Yes.
Which actually was again on this bad boy. Where we started getting into some kind of darker things, and then strange things built up.
We didn't get into the darker things. The darker things ended up getting to us.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, we had to really nail that.
You can find that stuff if you go into the United Public Radio archives. There are plenty of shows in there. We also did a series on Toby, was a child spirit that we talked to, and hopefully freed. Now, rescue mediumship, that was something we were learning about. I think when we first really started the show, it's been a couple of years.
It was because we started it because of Toby.
Yeah,
We,
yeah. And
somebody joined.
I see that.
Okay.
And we wanted to help Toby, but we've got some incredible data. Really fascinating data about Toby and his age and that sort of thing.
He's 7.
He's definitely 7.
Still 7.
Or was 7. And hopefully he is living a better existence wherever he may be now. Anyways, we'd like to bring on our special guest. He's the author of many books, including 2 new ones. A good friend of mine, actually, the person who got me started doing this crazy radio stuff. Her name is Clarissa Vazquez. Let me bring her on. Hey, Clarissa.
Hi.
Can you hear us
guys.
okay?
Yeah, I can
How's
hear
it
you
going?
just fine. Can you hear me?
This
Pretty
tech is a
good.
little new to us, so let me turn you up on our end a little bit. Hang on one sec.
If you hear any feedback, let us know, okay? Please.
Yeah, if it starts sounding crazy squirrely like it did for our last guest before we started, do please let us know.
No problem.
Can you hear us okay?
I can hear you just fine.
Great. Very
Right?
good.
You look great.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Good. You look wonderful.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.
Let me just do that. That'll work. I get one ear free here.
Yeah, that's what I was doing.
Yeah, I don't know why, but our camera looks like it squished us. That was weird. Let me try this. Ah, there we go. That's better. Not squished anymore. Hey.
Hey.
Hey. So, we know you've been through a lot in the last year. And
Oh my
I don't know how
gosh.
much of that
Yeah.
you want to talk about today. I know we don't have a ton of time, but that's totally up to you if you want to tell us a little bit. And we're going to have you back in May to do a more thorough, full interview.
Yeah. Well, just to, wrap it up in a nice little bow, 2020 was a nightmare. And it was a nightmare for a lot of people, but it was, for me, unequivocally the worst year of my life. I had one major life-altering tragedy every month in 2020. And even in December, I was recovering from having major surgery, and 3 days later ended up having a heart attack right before Christmas. So,
Oh my gosh.
yeah, 2020 was terrible.
Yeah, I
but,
mean, people talk about it being a bad year, but it's like, no, wait, you don't know the half of it.
Yeah. And then I hear from people going, oh, it was a bad year for everybody. And I'm like, no,
No.
sit down.
Exactly. That's what I
To
mean.
you
It's like,
personally, it was really
Yeah.
bad.
yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't a great year. For us, we get a little haunted. We had some problems, but it was nothing
That's
like what
nothing.
you went through.
Right.
Not even close. Doesn't hold a candle to these
Yeah.
things. So,
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
and it was so
wasn't even
consistent.
close.
Like, really.
Yeah. Like I said,
So-
one major life-altering tragedy every month in 2020. And, we
Sorry
had
to hear
the
that.
pandemic on top of it, and being
Right.
quarantined, and, and all of the emotional turmoil from that. That in and of itself was traumatic to the entire world. But then, you throw in, these major catastrophes on top of it, and it's just, it's a miracle that I survived it.
Yes.
But what's even more amazing, and Chris, you're going to laugh when I say this, is I did it without cigarettes.
That's right. You were
Yeah.
kind of forced to quit smoking in there, and no matter how much they force a person, it is still,
Hard.
it's really hard to do. It's really
Well,
hard.
I quit.
And you did it.
I quit on my own New Year's Day 2020. New Year's Eve 2019 was my last cigarette. New Year's Day 2020 was my first quit day. And 6 months later, I was diagnosed with terminal lung disease. And So, that was actually my major trauma for the month of June last year was getting
I
this
apologize. I
diagnosis.
thought you had quit because you had been sick. And although
No.
I know that the diagnosis came in at different times, you had gone through a lot of stuff too. So
Mm-mm.
you actually did quit on New Year's.
I did. I quit on New Year's, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. If I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have quit. And I don't know how I made it with my sanity intact and without lighting up. I don't know how I did it. You can't even ask me. I don't know how I did it.
Oh, I'm glad you've kept it. It is very challenging and complex.
Well,
to
you know
do.
how many times I've tried to quit and
Yeah.
just haven't been able to do it. And
Oh, same
in fact,
here.
you
I've
and
done
I,
the Chantix and the patches, and
yeah, well, it was the Chantix that actually worked for me. But you and I were right in the middle of the pareidolia book. I had been off cigarettes for like 5 or 6 months or something, and we were right in the middle of the pareidolia book, and I'm like, screw it, and I started up again in the middle of that project. I remember you were so disappointed.
yeah. Speaking of that, I think I've got a copy behind me. Let me see if I can find it. We were just looking
Okay.
at the bookcase, and I knew there was something I needed there, and that's what it was. I forgot. Oh,
And I was going to ask you about that earlier. Should I break out the book?
Always break out the book. You can't go
Always.
wrong when you've got books.
That's right.
And in fact, I'm going to order a bunch more copies and bring them with me when I'm out there this summer, Chris, so you can sign my copies like we did in 2018 when it first came out. That way,
Right.
any copies that I
there you
give
go.
out
If you
are
get a
held
copy, you'll have
independently.
both our autographs on there.
Mhm.
It's Debunking Common Paranormal Myths, Exploring Psychosomatic Pareidolia, and it is available on Amazon.
Yes.
Of course. What can't you buy on Amazon?
Right.
Well, speaking of things you can buy on Amazon, uh,
Yes,
I
that's a wonderful lead-in
There
because
it is.
you've got some news for us.
I do. I last summer started a book project. I was encouraged by another friend to step out of my comfort zone and write a book that had absolutely nothing to do with ghosts or the paranormal, because people that know me know that, like you, Chris, I love to fish. I'm an angler. That's if I'm not chasing ghosts, I am in my spare time down at the lake. I am fishing, hopefully catching also, but fishing for sure.
Right?
And I've got a lot of really funny fishing stories. And so this friend of mine encouraged me to step outside of my comfort zone and write all of my stories down. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do that. And so it's still a surprise to my dad. The book hasn't officially launched. And I dedicated the book to my dad by himself. Usually if you see one of my books, you're like, I want to dedicate it to this person and this person and this person and this person and this group and this organization and my son. But this one, all it says is for Dad.
Nice.
And it was released on Wednesday, this last Wednesday, so 3 days ago for pre-order. And it will officially drop on Monday, my birthday. Woohoo! Happy birthday to me. And I found out
happy
this
birthday.
morning, that even though it hasn't officially dropped yet, as of last night, it was within the top 200 on Amazon's bestseller list already.
Wow.
And all of my other books hadn't even cracked 1,000.
Wow,
Wow.
that's amazing. Good for
Ever.
you.
That is
Yeah.
awesome.
I think it dropped a little bit. It's in the top 300 now. But that's just the pre-order sales. Once it officially launches, and the marketing campaigns, start going in, I'm hopeful that it's just going to take off and sell like hotcakes. Because it's not a paranormal book, I published it under my maiden name, and I've been having a lot of fun with writing again, because I haven't put any books out since you and I published the Pareidolia book, and it was fun to get back into that groove, and so I simultaneously published the fishing book, and I also did a paranormal cookbook, which it became available for pre-sale at 5:00 yesterday morning, and
Excellent.
it will officially launch on Wednesday, on St. Patrick's Day.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Excellent.
So I'm
And what are the titles of those books now again? It's How to Bait Your Own Hook.
the fishing book is called "I Can Bait My Own Hook:
I Can
True
Bait My
Tales
Own
of
Hook.
a
I'm
Fisher
sorry.
Mom." Yeah, True Tales of a
Yep.
Fisher Mom. Yeah, and I go into detail. I'm like, what exactly is a fisher mom? It's like, well, you have to be a fisher person, an angler, and you have to have at least one offspring, which I do, and you have to lack a certain appendage that would otherwise make you a fisherman. And,
Well, that's one of us here.
Yeah.
Yeah, we certainly love fishing. As you know, I've been striper fishing for years, and Kristen
Oh,
loves
yeah.
it as well.
Yes.
Get out there and do the New England fishing scene, which
I'm
is
a
different.
fisher mom.
You're out in Colorado, so you've got a different
Yeah.
species of fish and approach.
yeah, well, we've got bass and stuff out here also, but
Oh, yeah.
what I predominantly fish for is trout. And
Mhm.
and yes, there are pictures in this book. There are a lot of pictures in this book because, and Chris, once again, you've heard me say this over and over again. I'm a firm believer in pics or it didn't happen.
Right.
Right.
So, so I've always taken pictures and stuff
Yeah,
like
you
that,
can't get
especially when
any
I'm down at the
pareidolia
lake.
about the fish.
No.
That was
No.
big.
Yeah, I once caught a fish this big, so Pixar didn't happen, and there are a lot of really funny stories in there. I learned how to fly in one of those stories, and it was described as I looked like a sugar glider on the attack. Uh, yeah.
That was a great mental picture.
Yeah, like that.
Another third-person description of me was if Shirley Temple and Mount St. Helens had a love child. So, if that gives you any idea of, what this book is about, where it's going and everything. There's a lot of really funny stories in there. I'm sorry, I've got a really bad light glare. I keep
Yeah,
moving
we
my-
did catch Clarissa at work, so we appreciate you
Yes,
taking the time to
thank
talk
you.
to us.
So it's like my
Um,
camera's constantly moving around because, I'm trying to avoid the glare.
It
and the
is. You got
reflection.
an action cam going.
Yeah.
It's like you're on a GoPro. Look at me. I'm surfing.
No, I'm flying.
So,
I'm flying. Flying
like a sugar
flying
glider
squirrel.
on the attack?
sugar glide. Yes.
Yeah. So that's, I Can Bait My Own Hook, True Tales of a Fisher Mom, and I didn't include the stories about, so the offspring and I were down at the lake and we didn't catch anything. And I had to explain to him that sometimes that doesn't happen. No, I took only the funny stories, the really funny ones, and, and put them in there. And like I said, there's pictures in there and, a lot of really good memories. I really enjoyed reliving all of that as I was writing these stories down, and I have changed the names to protect the embarrassed. So
That was very kind of you.
Yeah.
I'm sure the fish appreciate it.
yeah,
You got me.
I mean, clearly I refer
the
to
other-
my son as offspring and stuff like that. So
Yep. As you often do. And the other book is a cookbook.
yeah, the other book is a cookbook, and that actually is the brainchild of Offspring. He called me a while back, and he said, "Mom, I need your recipe for," I don't remember what it was, and and then he called me again, "Mom, I need your recipe for this," and "Mom, I need your recipe for that," and I said, "Why don't I just write all my recipes down and put it in a binder and send it to you?" And he went, "Okay, that's great." So I'm typing up these recipes. And I went, well, dummy. Turn this into a cookbook. And because I already had recipes for ghost hunter stew and death by chocolate cake and stuff like that in there, I went in and renamed a bunch of my recipes and turned it into an actual cookbook. And I made a bunch of the dishes and took pictures of them. So there's some really crappy photography of this food in there. So it's called Clarissa's Creepy Culinary Classics.
That's an awesome title.
Nice. Yeah, and with a picture of a bubbling. It's the cover. It's got a chalkboard kind of cover like you would see the specials menu at a restaurant, and then it's got a bubbling cauldron in it. The cover was actually designed by our friend Bobby Smith, who designed our Pareidolia book cover.
Right.
And she did a great job with this one too. And so I mean, there's recipes for tombstone margaritas and Undertaker's feast.
Oh, you got the alcoholic beverages in there as well.
Oh, you know it.
That sounds like a good witch's brew right there.
Yeah. And
yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
We're
there's
psyched. We're psyched. I ordered your first book. I'm sure we'll be adding
the second one.
Book
Absolutely.
to the bookshelf back there with your other books and our books, certainly. So we like that. I wanted to ask you about Colorado Coalition of Paranormal Investigators, CCPI.
Oh my gosh, we are growing.
What is going on with them, and how are you guys doing with the COVID? And you're in Colorado, you get able to move forward.
Well, I don't know if you guys watched the live video that I did the other night. I did a Facebook Live the other night. I was product testing EMF meters. And it's on the CCPI Facebook page. If you want to go check it out. Which I think the Facebook address for that is facebook.com/Colorado Paranormal.
Okay.
And
Colorado Paranormal.
Yeah. And I mentioned then, because of COVID, we've temporarily suspended our services, but on a case-by-case basis, if we've got an emergency case and it involves children, we're going to put a priority on it. And if it's safe to do so, we will go ahead and take it. If it's not an emergency case or it doesn't involve children, sorry, you're going to have to wait. But between my major surgery and 2 heart attacks, because I actually had a second smaller heart attack in January during my nuclear stress test that they were doing to find out why I had the first one. I ended up having an NSTEMI during the stress test. Yeah. So between my major surgery and my heart attacks, my case manager's joint replacement surgery, multiple members actually having COVID, we got to the point where it was just Eric, our technical manager, and 2 rookies. And I went, no, we can't do this. Eric can't even investigate safely, with him and 2 rookies that don't know what they're doing. So, we suspended services, but since then we've taken on 3 additional members. And we're interviewing another prospective member tomorrow. But we've also had to start litigation against a former member for breach of contract. So it's like, yay, we're doing great. Oh man, we got to contend with this. Yay, we're doing great. Crap, we got to do this. So yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know about that. I knew you guys were probably on a hiatus, as are most teams. I mean, most people have been pretty much on hiatus this last year for obvious reasons. But I didn't know what the game plan was, because we're, getting to the point now where some people get vaccinated. It's kind of,
and about half of the team has been vaccinated now. So.
Yeah. Oh, that's good.
So
That's
we
good.
we are chomping at the bit. We're anxious. We're excited. We're ready to go. Even me. I haven't been medically cleared, but when does that ever stop me?
Right.
Right, right. Now, how long has the group been together and been part of it?
I founded CCPI in 2004. So
There you
this
go.
is our 17th year
Wow. Not
in
a lot of groups
August.
can say that.
Yeah,
So
we're the
that's
second
really
longest
cool.
running organization in the state. We're second only to Rocky Mountain Paranormal, who's been around since 1999. There were others. There were others before us, but they've since fallen by the wayside, and there have been others since. But and some are still around, and some have disbanded. But we're still going strong. Partly because I'm a stubborn mule, and I've put blood, sweat, and tears into this organization, and I won't let it go.
Yeah,
So,
no, I know that. And you guys are collecting some amazing data.
Yes.
Clarissa will share like EVPs with me and such when she is actively investigating, and it's always a pleasure. It's amazing the clarity of some of them, and wow.
Chris loves those
some
2
data.
a.m. text messages from me going, "Holy crap! Holy crap! Holy crap!"
You got to listen to this.
Yeah,
And I go, holy
check
crap.
this out. Yeah.
So where can people find you? Where can they find the books? And what's the best place to find Clarissa Vazquez? Or CJ Hoyt?
Everywhere.
We're gonna
Yeah,
clarify
yeah.
on the
Everywhere.
titles.
Yeah, the all of the books are available on Amazon, including the Pareidolia book, that was co-authored by my good friend and partner in crime, Mr. Chris Carr, and the fishing book, which is called "I Can Bait My Own Hook: True Tales of a Fisher Mom." I published under my maiden name to keep it separate. So it is actually, if you look it up by author, you would look up CJ Hoyt, Hoyt. But everything else is under Clarissa Vazquez. The cookbook, if you want to find it on Amazon right now, you have to actually put in the entire title. You can't just look up my name. So if you put in Clarissa's Creepy Culinary Classics, you can find it that way. I have to make sure that Amazon gets that one linked to my author page on Amazon. And when we put out the Pareidolia book, that was actually a major project. It was actually a major pain in the butt.
It was really hard to find initially.
Yeah.
I haven't looked in a while. I'm not even sure, but I know for a while, it was like I'd look myself up and I would get, all these other Chris Cars, and then it went into like Kristen Cars and
Yes.
Christine, and it just, but somewhere in there it would eventually pop up. It
Right,
was
but
easier
if
to
you
search
put
by
in-
your name.
Yeah, if you put in my name,
I guess-
it automatically goes to my author page, and
Yes.
One in a million. There's a lot of me out there.
yeah, and my six paranormal books are listed on my author page, and so the cookbook will be on my author page as well. I'm not going to link the fishing book because I penned that under my maiden name, and so I will create a new author page for CJ Hoyt because I may decide to write other books under that name. And
That's really cool.
Wonderful.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's great.
I love it. Well, thanks for coming on and talking with us.
Thank you so much. I know you're really busy at
Like I
work.
said, we'll do a full interview in May, and we can talk about how the books are doing and get more in depth into that and the paranormal, certainly. And sounds great.
Yeah.
Set it up.
I look forward to it.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much again,
All right.
Clarissa.
Bye,
I'm glad
guys.
you're feeling
Talk soon.
better.
It's great to see you.
Thanks.
Take care.
All right. Take care.
All right.
Bye bye.
Oh, that was fun. That was
Yeah, it
cool.
was.
So I'm glad she took the time to do that.
Absolutely.
She's busy. She's at work.
Yeah.
But that is pretty much what we've got for this week. Our first week back.
Our first
Right
week
on.
back.
Woo. We did it.
We did it.
Most things worked. Most of it.
Yeah, so you have to see we've got lots of boards.
Yeah,
and
there's
wires.
still some tweaking, and believe it,
We're getting
none of
there.
this crap.
It's like a guinea pig day. That's what we called it.
But that was awesome. Next week we've got Ken Allen coming on
Mhm.
of the Wizards Table podcast. Right?
That's right.
Wizards Table, and Yeah, that's going to be great. So we'll see you. If you're depending where you're listening, you might not know when we're on. It is Saturdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. roughly Eastern time, 3 to 5 Central. So look for us, Bigfoot and the Bunny. We'll see you next week.
Thank you. See you
Thanks,
later.
guys.
Bye-bye.